right, here's my cheat sheet starting for December. All right, so I'm going to use this as a guide because it still has all the correct dates. I do need to add student loan in here. So like I said, this will just be a good opportunity for you guys to see how a budget is written out and how you can make one of these cheat sheets for yourself. Hi everybody, thanks for clicking on this video. Welcome to the beginning of my savings, budgeting, and YouTube journey. On this channel, I experiment with different budgeting styles, savings goals, and I share the strategies I learn as I go. So if that sounds interesting at all to you, please go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to follow my journey. Okay, so today we're going to do something fun and something that I think a lot of people will find helpful. I need to redo my budget cheat sheet. So I've been looking at this cheat sheet forever. I've showed this on my channel. I don't know how, all the time. I use this all the time. So basically, this is just a cheat sheet that I use. Shows me all of my fixed expenses, where I primarily want my variable expenses to go, which are these things here that I use, personal, gas, home, entertainment, etc. And then my always fund is just like a little savings that I have here in cash. So I use this all the time. But I need to update it because I need to start putting more in grocery. And I also now have student loans. It has to go in there. Has to go in there. So I'm going to show you how I do that, how I kind of make this even out, and just tips on how you can write out your budget. All right. Let's get started. We're going to figure out how we can put more to grocery, and hopefully we'll have this credit card paid off by the end of December. So that's one of December's goals. I want to include in here the bills that I get infrequently. So I want to include, like, life insurance is not due every month. I don't even know why I put that in here. Life insurance is due once every 3 months. Same for the water bill. So I want to make sure I have a cheat sheet that shows that too. All right, here's my cheat sheet starting for December. All right, so I'm going to use this as a guide because it still has all the correct dates. I do need to add student loan in here. So like I said, this will just be a good opportunity for you guys to see how a budget is written out and how you can make one of these cheat sheets for yourself. So you'll see here for paycheck B. Paycheck B is the second paycheck of every month. That's going to pay for all of the bills that are due at the beginning of the month. Because that just makes sense for me to make sure that those are paid on time. And the paycheck A pays everything at the end of the month. So for paycheck A and paycheck B. Okay, so grocery and allowance, they both don't have a date. So I put those at the top. So for groceries, you want to start putting 200 in there. Allowance is the same. So I'll have to figure out where that extra $30 is going to come from. We'll see. Okay, allowance is $20 still. So A, half of the mortgage is for $30. Amazon is due on the 12th. That's $8, and that's because they gave me a promotion since I left for a little while and they wanted me to come back, so that's why I pay that little. Same thing for Netflix. Utilities, no, not the same thing for Netflix. What am I talking about? Netflix, I have the ads. That's why that one's so cheap. But I'm actually thinking of getting rid of it altogether, and either getting Hulu or trying something different or nothing at all. So utilities, it's not $100. It's usually about between $150, usually around $150. So what I did before was I put $100 here in this paycheck and $50 here. And the reason for that is to kind of even out the bills for each paycheck. It just makes it a little bit easier to be able to afford other things that I need throughout the week. Okay, so utilities, and 15th is the phone bill, $60. And on the 21st, before that though, I know that the student loans are due on the 19th and they are $30. So if you guys saw that video that I did with the, I think it was paycheck B's budget, I'm not sure. But I finished off the student loan sinking fund that I made for myself. Not finished off, but I had about $90 in there, and I made a big lump sum payment. Apparently, they did not put that lump sum payment across the next few months, but it's okay. I decided not to even try to have them change it. I'm just going to keep paying it. Whatever. It's going to be due eventually anyway, so we'll fit that in there somehow. And then on the 21st, the credit card bill is due, and then I also put debt. So in case there's any other debt that comes up, unfortunately, hopefully not, $50 for this paycheck. And then we'll calculate and see if we can even these out. So let's start with B's paycheck. Grocery is going to get the same, hopefully. This is just an outline. Once I add them all up, I might have to move some numbers around. Allowance, 20. And then we're going to do the other half of the mortgage here. $430. Utilities, we'll do another $50. So this is due on the 1st, of course, the mortgage. So paycheck B is where I'll actually pay the mortgage. I'll keep half in the bank account from the first paycheck, and now I'll actually pay it with the second paycheck because I'll have the other $430 to pay with. And then I have life insurance on there. I'm going to just skip that for now. And then on the 2nd, we have car insurance for $118, and then we have internet for $55. Okay, so I put a star here because that's when I want to pay the mortgage. That's not on auto pay. There's other stars here. Utilities is not on auto pay, so I put a star next to those so that I remember I need to physically go in and pay them. Same for the internet. I need to physically go in and pay that, and student loans and the credit card. I'm a control freak, so that's why if it doesn't have to be on auto pay, it's probably not going to be on auto pay. And that's because sometimes when you have lower income, you got to move some money around, and sometimes I won't say the bill will be late because I don't do that. I try my hardest not to do that. But if you have to, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? All right, so let's add these up and see what we have to work with. 200. That's 906. I just know I'm gonna have to move some of this stuff around already. All right, that's 873. So they're pretty different. My goal is to try to make these a little bit even. Like I said, that makes it easier for me to be able to pay other bills. So let's add these together and see how much our fixed expenses are altogether. So altogether, it's $17.79. I want to average it out. So I divide it by 2. And I get $8.89. So I kind of want these to even out to $8.89 each. So there are some things that I can play around with, like utilities, since I've split that up. Mortgage, I've split that up, so I can do uneven numbers if I have to there. And grocery, I can do uneven numbers if I have to there. So let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so you want this to be $8.89. How much do we need to move over? $16. Let's see. For some reason, it doesn't seem right. Okay, so I am back, and I realized that the numbers were not working out, so I went ahead and did some math, did some moving around. You could ignore this last portion here because I redid that. Basically what I had to do was move over utilities, and I had to move over debt. So that was a way for me to get these to amount to closer than they were. And I also added $10 more to utilities. So let me show you what I moved it to. So now we moved debt over to paycheck B, which is okay, as long as I get paid before the 21st. So as long as my second paycheck comes in before the 21st, I'm okay. So I'll have to look at that every time I do my monthly to make sure that that still lines up there. I also moved utilities. So instead of 100 here and 50 there, I put 140 here, and I changed it to 20 here. That way, instead of 150 towards utilities, I'm putting 160, and that's because, you know, it's closer to winter time. I just put a little bit more in there, and I always have that utility sinking fund in case I don't have enough in the paychecks to pay the utilities in full. So I can always pull it from that savings binder that I have and use it to pay that bill. And then I also just did a cheat sheet for the rest of my expenses. So my variable expenses, every 2 weeks, this is how much I'll put in each of these envelopes. These go in my wallet every time I get paid. Like I said, I take out between $230 and $250 usually. I put a little bit more last time I get paid. So depending on how much the paycheck is, I can adjust the variable funds. But this is the average of what I want to use. My always fund, instead of it being $100, now it's going to be $75. So that kind of helps where groceries went up. So it's less in always fund and more in grocery. And these are my rollover rules. So if there's any money left over in my wallets from what I stuffed on payday to the next payday, I will move those funds into these categories. So if anything's left in my personal envelope from my wallet, and then I'll put it in my binder, anything in the home envelope, home binder, etc., etc. So this is kind of my rules for where I want things to go, just for my own memory, just to make sure that I'm using them in the ways that are most useful for me. And YouTube income, this is my outline of where I want everything to go. So the YouTube taxes, my remote car starter fund, my daughter's graduation envelope, mom fund envelope, YouTube supplies, health, YouTube giveaway, mom beauty, and her clothing fund. And then these are other bills. This is new. I didn't put this on my cheat sheet before. These are other bills that aren't paid monthly, but I still want to keep an eye out for these every time I do a monthly budget, so I know whether to expect these expenses in there. So I do have a subscription sinking fund for the ring envelope. I also have one for BJ's, which I believe is due in June. I think it's in July because it was like right after my car accident. So July or August. I believe it's August. So let's see. I'm going to put that in here too. So BJ's, that is a bulk grocery store, and I use that to help pay for my gas. So that's how I get a little bit of a gas discount every time. It's a little further away, but that's okay. I believe it's in August, but I'm going to put July. I'm just going to put July in here, just in case. Put the debts in yellow. So debt here is for my credit card bill, and this is here for my student loan. That can also include something else. So if I don't have anything on my credit card bill, maybe I'll pay more to my student loan or to some other debt that I have. These are the only monthly things that I have to pay though. So when I say any other debt that I have, so maybe I want to put more on my car note, etc. So just want to make sure I use that $50 the best way possible if there's nothing due on the credit card. Hopefully we can pay the credit card off this month though. That's the plan. There's only about $60 to $70 left on there after my last payment during the midweek check-in. So then the car note, this is paid. Make sure you take a look and watch that video of how I pay my car note. This is paid with my automatic savings account. So it's actually a checking account, but it comes out every pay period. So these amounts here for the savings, these come out automatically every time I get paid. They go to these 3 accounts. So one goes into my main account, which is my emergency fund. One goes to my daughter's savings account, and then this 25 goes to that car note. So make sure you watch that video so you can better understand what I mean by that. But I wanted to put down the total car note here. I am paying $250 a month just to try to get that down as much as possible. But that extra money again is coming from this car note fund here, and also from the lump sum that I put in there at the beginning of the year. So, and when I get my income tax, that's how I pay that car note, so that I don't have to think about it. It comes out of another checking account automatically, so I don't have to think about that. But this is how I do my budget cheat sheet. I just wanted to show you guys this breakdown. A couple people have asked, so I wanted to show you that while I created my new one. So this will be the new one that I use for the upcoming months. I'm not quite sure how much my paychecks will be. They should be a little bit more. I don't know how much more for sure. You know, it's hard to tell when you do overtime all the time, how much your base pay is and how much your average is. So usually I estimate with between 13 and 1400. December, I might estimate with a little bit more because I did quite a bit of overtime the past month. Takes me a month to get overtime pay. Yeah, I know. So there's that. So I also wanted to point out too, I was talking about overtime and making sure that you're checking your paycheck stubs. Pay attention very closely because I realized, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, that my overtime was not how much it should have been. And what they said is that if there's any accruals used throughout the week, like if there's a holiday or even if I take an hour off, you don't get overtime pay, which is time and a half, until you make up that time. So like for Thanksgiving and Black Friday, we were off, so that's 16 hours. So I'd have to do 16 hours of overtime in order to get overtime pay, which is time and a half. Otherwise, I just get my regular rate for those extra hours, which still is extra money, but that kind of explains why my estimates might not always be what I expect them to be. And also I was told that I can't work through lunch anymore. So good things come along with bad things. But another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, last thing, is that since I've been doing my budget, I realized that I need to make more money. So I sat down and I looked at the things, my choices that I have. I can either get another job on top of the one that I have. I can change my job altogether. I can do more side hustles. So those are kind of the options that I have. So what I have decided to do is to apply for another position at my current job. So I did apply for that. I have an interview on Monday. Yay! So I asked you to do your monthly rain dance for me. Rain dance, prayer, whatever. Wish me well, please. I am not that nervous, surprisingly. Usually I am super nervous for interviews, but probably because I know all of these people. So, you know, wish me luck. I'm just going to do the best that I can do. I know that I can do the job. So I just hope they can see that too. And it just depends on what other, you know, qualifications the other people that I'm competing against have. So I'm not getting my hopes up, but it would be great. And I'd love to come back and give you guys the good news and to show you, you know, new budget once I figure out, you know, how much those paychecks would be, because it does come with an increase. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you a little bit. If it did, please go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to continue following my journey. Thanks so much, everybody. I always want to remind you, it is about progression and not about perfection. Everybody, happy saving. Bye.